What's up, guys? This is Justin with IGN. I'm here with Steve.
Hi, Justin.
We are extremely excited about the cast announcement for Star Wars Episode 7.
The office is all abuzz.
It was absolutely insane when this happened, and being the bunch of nerds that we are, we couldn't help but immediately start to speculate about what this means, you know, in the absence of any and all details.
Sometimes it's easier to do speculation at that point.
One of the things that jumped out at us is that they cast a lot of young men. You know, and obviously there's going to be young men in any Star Wars movie, but there's a lot of them. You know, there's several young men cast, and what that immediately made us think of was the Jedi Academy series of games. And so, you know, we don't know what Episode 7's about, but we did say, wouldn't it be super rad, super cool if they did sort of go down that route instead of sort of the traditional expanded universe route that people kind of expected them to go down. So if people aren't familiar with Jedi Outcast, Jedi Academy, Steve, what was the scoop with all these games? What were they all about?
Well, so Jedi Academy, just sort of in the larger extended universe, is what Luke Skywalker begins to get involved with once the New Republic gets founded, right? And so it's presumed that if that part of the extended universe is preserved, which it seems like it should be, that obviously the Jedi Academy will play a big role in whatever's happening in the next movie.
Right.
The Jedi Academy is basically Luke Skywalker setting himself up as sort of like a Dumbledore, but for Jedis, right?
Okay.
And he recruits a bunch of people, and these are folks that a lot of people know and love from the extended universe. There's Mara Jade, who Luke Skywalker, spoilers, eventually marries in the extended universe, which is now Star Wars Legends, I guess. I have to get used to saying that.
Yeah, sure.
But one of my favorite all-time students is this guy named Kyle Katarn.
Yeah, he's definitely a fan favorite. He's a guy that I actually don't know. I think he did start in the video games. I don't know if that was his first appearance or not. But anyway, he would go on to star in these video games and end up in a bunch of novels. And he's one of these characters that grew and grew over time. So Kyle, if they do sort of follow that path, and Kyle is a recruit or a Padawan of Luke's, what did that arc look like in the fiction as it stands now?
Well, so Kyle is been in a couple of games, but he's the star of this game, Jedi Knight 2, Jedi Outcast. One of my top 10 favorite games of all time, which you can read about on IGN.
Yeah.
But Kyle's story is very interesting. He's got this sort of interesting light side, dark side dichotomy that's such a big part of the Star Wars universe. He begins as an Imperial officer, then he finds out he's got these force powers, so he goes and trains, and then he gets disillusioned and rejects it. But then in the course of Jedi Outcast, another student from his time at the Academy, this alien named Desan, has turned to the dark side, comes in, wrecks Kyle's life, starts messing with his lady, and Kyle's got to go back then to the Academy, which in the extended universe is actually the base on Yavin 4. So if you remember the end of A New Hope, when they're at the base and they're tracking the things, and then there's a big medal ceremony at the end, that's where the Jedi Academy is.
Awesome.
In Jedi Outcast, you actually get to go to this place, and the big showdown is even in that medal ceremony room.
That's actually super rad. I didn't know
it's crazy cool.
Part of this.
It's crazy cool. So Kyle sort of takes center stage in that game, and then he graduates to become a Jedi Master, and he himself takes on 2 new apprentices in the sequel, Jedi Academy.
So it becomes in the actual Jedi Academy, the game called Jedi Academy. It's Kyle and Luke, an even older Luke, sort of still training people, correct? Like that's sort of the rough plot of what happens in that game.
Yeah, and that even happens in Jedi Outcast, where Kyle, when he wants to reclaim his powers and get his lightsaber back, he's got to go and meet Luke, and Luke says, look, like you've been out of the game for a while, we need to run you through an obstacle course, which, midway through the game serves as sort of a quasi-tutorial for your new powers. So,
LucasArts has already announced that the extended universe stuff, is not, they are not going to feel beholden to that with Episode 7, so these sort of plot points and events that people know and love, there is no guarantee that any of those are going to carry over into these new films. But with the casting of so many young men, it's impossible to sort of not imagine or speculate that at least some of this Jedi Academy stuff, this Jedi Knight stuff that people have known and played in, PC games for so long, will be carrying over.
Yeah, I mean, the Jedi Academy, I feel like, has to be part of it, because that's what Luke's arc is at the end of Return of the Jedi. It's like, you got to go rebuild this order now. And so there's got to be some context for what we would, maybe it's not called Jedi Academy, but something like that.
And it totally makes sense that, again, it's got that light side, dark side mechanic that is always central to any Star Wars story, always has been in any, existing Star Wars story so far. And they really covered that in the video games really well.
Yeah, and in Jedi Outcast, you're kind of railroaded a little bit into certain decisions, but in Jedi Academy, the character that you play is Kyle Katarn's apprentice. And the other apprentice goes bad, and you've got to now hunt him down. And at the end of that game, much in the same way that there is in KOTOR, you get to make this choice. Do you at the end want to be the good guy or do you want to be the bad guy? And it ends with 2 different scenes depending on which choice you make.
What if the movies did that?
Oh my
It's
gosh.
like, just let people vote.
Or they just randomly, like they sent out 2 separate prints and it was just random which one you got to see.
That's never going to happen.
Yeah.
We're going to find out much more about Episode 7 soon. Hopefully on May the 4th, we're going to get fresh details. But, given the casting news, given that there is a lot of young men in it, it was impossible not to sort of speculate and, get these Jedi Academy speculations in front of you. Let us know what you think. What do you want Episode 7 to be about? What do you think it's going to be about? Leave a note in the comments below. And remember that for everything Star Wars, you can keep it locked to IGN.